Morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Envestnet platform training call. We're really excited to bring you this type of content. So I'm going to pass it over to Marcus.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I hope you had a really spectacular weekend. Hope you got to relax and take some time off and just really enjoy it. So I want to thank you guys for joining. Today, we are joined by an Envestnet platform training representative, Bill Nialis. Bill has helped us here in home office back in, I believe it's December, and he has been really instrumental in helping our home office team um, really iron out some of the issues that we've had and just help us become more familiar with the platform. So Bill is going to help us today in leading a training session on APM models. But first, what I'd like to just talk about is the email that you may have gotten on Friday about the new and Envestnet platform being enabled. So I'll spend a few minutes on the platform itself. So currently, this is your view of Envestnet. And to see the new platform, you will notice something new here in the top right corner here. There is a toggle button to take you there. Just switch to new platform. And just so you know, if you're working inside of the current platform here and before you switch, it'll give you a warning button that if you're going through with any unsaved changes, those changes may be lost as you're switching over. So just confirm that you want to switch over to the new platform before doing that. And here you see the new platform. It's a much cleaner look, much more modernized look. The purpose of Envestnet doing this is just to help streamline some of the actions here within the platform. So there's fewer clicks. Just to highlight a couple of things, to switch back to the legacy version, we can click our icon to the top right, and then we can go to switch to legacy, and it takes us back to the current view. But just keep in mind that your default view will be changing April 1st to the new view. Envestnet will no longer support the current view at some point later this year, and that will be communicated to you guys as well. But a couple of things that I like here, just I want to point out on the new platform is you can instantly manage your desktop manager. So these are our quick action widgets. So we can rearrange our widget order here. We can also add in available widgets, or we can take out certain things as well. So we can still access our most important and most frequent items here. So if we want to create a new service request, we can quickly do so from our quick actions tab. We can quickly create a new proposal from our quick actions tab. And one other thing that I like here is if we go to accounts, for example, let's say we want to bookmark a page, we can do so based off our filtered down preferences. So let's say we only want to pull in accounts that hold $50,000 or more. We can apply that filter, and then we can go to bookmarks up the top here, and then we can bookmark that page. I've already bookmarked it, but it's called accounts. So each time we come into Envestnet, we no longer have to click into multiple areas on the screen. We can actually come in and bookmark, and it'll take us directly to that page where we filtered out to just cut down on time and just fewer clicks to help us run our business more efficiently as the advisor. Now, if you are working in this new platform view, you can access some of the tutorial videos that we've made on StoneX Advisor Center. Under StoneX Advisor Center, under StoneX Wealth Solutions here, and StoneX Strategies and Marketing Commentary, If you scroll down to market research and commentary, you can select Envestnet tutorials, and then you can go over to new Envestnet platform tutorials.pdf. And what you'll see here is when you click on it, it'll bring you to the next screen where you can click into this PDF and it'll bring you to the relevant video topic. And just keep in mind that there's more here. So there's several videos that have been made to assist you with the new platform. So next, I'll turn it over to Bill. Bill is going to assist us in just going through the APM model buildings. So Bill, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Marcus. Let me go ahead and pull the screen up now. Today we're going to go over building models. We're going to do it in the legacy platform, just because that's what everyone's a little more comfortable with right now. But yes, you can do it over in the new platform as well. When I was in Birmingham visiting with the home office in December, one thing we talked about was that advisors really liked to use the advisors portfolio manager program, but they weren't necessarily utilizing the ability to create and manage their models effectively. One thing that advisors like to do is they just create a personalized client model as part of the proposal, which is great. Except that when you go to manager accounts, it's going to be a lot more work for you and in some cases the home office. Because what's happening is when you're building them as personalized client models, they're a one-time use that you can only use in that one account that one time. So if you have basically the same model in maybe 20 of your different client accounts, and you go to update that, now you got to go 20 different times and update those 20 different accounts to make that change that you made in the model. Maybe you updated a position or a target percentage, and that's just a lot of time for you. What if I told you that if you were to just build those models first, you could just update that one model and then go into the trading engine and just rebalance that model and any of the different accounts that are tied to it, you'd rebalance them all at once and not have to make 20 different model adjustments. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about building those advisor as portfolio manager models, how you would then either first we'll build a proposal and we'll talk about how you'd add that model to a proposal. But then another thing is maybe you do build this model and you realize that you've got a few different accounts that are basically using the same model, and you wanna update and change that. So I'll show you how you'd be able to go into those accounts and then assign that new model to those accounts. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off by going up to the Manage tab. I'm going to click on the Manage tab and I'm going to go to Advisor Models. So when I go to Advisor Models, I can see any of the models that I've created. So in this model management screen here, I can see, the name of the model, positions of the model, how many assets are under each of those models, and how many portfolios are tied to each of those models. You can utilize the filters. Now it is going to have, all the programs by default in there. So you have, those three different programs right there. If you wanted to filter for just your APM models, you can say, go to search filters. Let's go down to program. I just want to see SA Stone APM. I'm going to filter for that. And that's just going to show me all the models that I built under that program. So I'd be able to go in and see that there. But if I want to build a new model, again, I'm going to click the create model. I'm going to go down to SA Stone APM model. And you begin by giving that model a name. Keep in mind that the client will be able to see what that model's called. So kind of keep it something that you don't mind the client seeing. So I'm going to give it a name. Also keep it something that's going to be easy for you to locate. We're going to go and select our target risk rating. And we can decide if you want to use this as a sleeve, because maybe we're going to use it in like a unified managed account model later. We can decide to do that if we want to. You're going to select your rep code or share it with everybody if you're going to share this model. And then you're going to choose your drift type, whether it be absolute or relative. The difference being, and a kind of quick explanation is, absolute is going to keep you as close to the target percentages for each of those model positions as possible. Relative uses comfort zones, which are 75% of that. So you can decide which one you want to use. And then if you wanted to, you can just set a default drift. Maybe you know that you're going to use a drift of 3% across the board for all these positions. I can just say my default drift is 3, and that way I can kind of skip that part as I'm building the model. So then when I click save, it'll take us to our positions section. So when we go into our position sections, we see that we have the drift is automatically set for us in here. We don't have to play with that or change that anymore. To start adding positions, we could go in and we can start typing in the tickers if we know them. If we don't know them, we could click on the magnifying glass here and we can enter in a keyword. So I entered my search criteria in there and it'll bring in everything under that keyword that I wrote. Now you're able to enter in more than one word in there. You're not limited to the one, but you could go in and you can enter more in there. Also, another thing you could do is if you think you know what the ticker is, but you're not sure, you could enter that into the keyword and do a refresh. And what it will do is it'll search for all the positions under that ticker that might have that IWR as part of it. You can see that there's others that have more than that in there, but it'll bring up anything with that IWR in it. And if that's the one you want to use, you could just click on it. So from there, you're going to go in and you're going to select your target percentage. That's going to activate this dynamic risk dial here. It's showing that we're right now at conservative because we only have the one position in there. But we want to get over to aggressive, and we can see what our asset allocation is as well. Then you could just go in and you can enter in those additional tickers. And to enter additional positions, you just click on the plus icon and you'll get additional columns and rows to add those in there. Now we can see based on the target percentages that we put in there, one, we're over 100%, which we can't be. So we need to go in and make a few changes there. So we'll go in and we'll change that. We can see that we're now scoring that aggressive, which is what we wanted. You can also see what our asset allocation is. One other thing I did want to mention is besides using the search feature to search by keywords, you can also search by security types, specific styles, and then you can see filter sets too. So you can see any of the investment lists approved by SA Stone that are listed in there as well. One other thing that you can do is you are able to leave part of the model as cash if you wanted to. So if you just wanted to say leave 2% of this model as cash, I could just change that 40 to 38. It's now holding 90% in positions, and it will save and we'll keep that remaining 2% in cash. You don't have to do that, but you're able to do that if you want to. Now, you are technically almost done at this point. One thing you need to do before you could use this model is you need to click that save and activate. If you don't save and activate the model, it's going to hold it in a draft mode. So if you were to try and add that to say a proposal, you're not going to be able to because it's not a save model yet. So we're going to click save and activate at this point. So now that we've saved this model, we can see that each of the different positions in here are clickable links. Clicking on that link is going to take you out to the research center and the tear sheet for that particular product. So you're able to go in and look at that, generate that profile of that product if you wanted to. And you have that information available to you. Again, use your breadcrumb trail to go back to your list of products in your model. Don't use the back button. Although, one thing to note that will be kind of exciting, when you do start using the new platform, you will be able to use the back button in your browser. But for now, remember to use your breadcrumb trail or your stacks icon. The other things you'll notice on here is you have a folded page icon right there that will take you out to Morningstar data for that particular product, actually to the Morningstar page for that product. And you can see for this Artesian International Value Investor, I have this little yellow icon here. That's an alert letting me know that this position has a soft close. So basically, if I tried to use this model for a client that didn't already hold it, those trades would reject. But if I had a client that did already hold it, they would be able to complete those trades. So this is just letting you know that you either want to swap that position out, and if you did, you would just click edit and you can make changes to it. Or what you can do is add an alternate for that position. And we'll come to that in a second. I just want to go over to the property step real quick. If I go to properties, I can see here's the properties for this model. I can see, what the name of it is, or I'm scoring. The minimum is always going to be defined by whatever the product minimums are. So this one doesn't really have a product minimum for it. But maybe this was a model you only wanted to use for your clients that are investing, say, $500,000 or something like that. You could put that minimum in there, and that becomes a filtering tool. So when you go to add it to a proposal, if you set it at a minimum of 500,000, and your client was only investing 250,000, that model wouldn't show up. So just kind of keep that in mind in there as well. Tax efficiencies, this is a filtering tool. You're able to go in and add a tax efficiency in there as well. Your default drift is listed in there, and then your weighted average net expense ratio and your weighted average current yield have been calculated for you based on the positions and the target percentages that you've added in there. If you want to know more information about how that's calculated, you could go up to the additional information icon right there and click on that, and that'll explain how they calculate those data points for you. Then you could just scroll down. You can choose to avoid short-term gains if you want, if you're using a non-qualified account. And then you can enter a product description in there. Just remember, product description will show up in client-facing paperwork as well. So if you made any changes, you can click save there. And now we could go over, because again, we had that position that had that soft close in it right there. We can go over to alternates, and we can add an alternate for that one position. So if I go to alternates and I click add alternate, it's going to give me a list of all my positions. That Artesian International Value Investor was the one that had that soft close. So that's the one in this case that I want to use. And what I want to do is I want to add a alternate ticker position for this one. So what I'm going to do is enter that in there. And then I have some buy and sell controls. So I'll go over those for you real quick. Buy the alternate position is going to buy the alternate just like the model position. Buy the alternate if already held in the account. Maybe your client has a large holding that's not necessarily a model holding and you want to use that. You can tell it to buy the alternate position because it's already held in the account. Next is buy the alternate if the model position is not held in the account. And that's what we're going to select in this particular case, because again, we have that ARTKX, which has a soft close. So anyone that doesn't have it can't buy it. So we can say, okay, well, since they don't have it, they're going to get that APTCX instead. And that way, none of the trades would reject. Then you have the taxable options there. Buy the alternate if the model position is restricted. That's going to be restricted at the client level or the account level, not at the custodian. This could be like a wash sale restriction or a client level restriction that you've entered in there. It's going to say buy the alternate if that model position is restricted instead. Or you can just say, don't buy the alternate. We don't want to hold it. But again, in this case, we're going to buy it because that position is not held in the account. And then you have some sell controls as well. Sell the alternate, it's just going to sell it just like the model position. Sell the alternate proportionally with other own positions. What that may be used for is maybe this client's coming in with a really large holding of something and you don't want to just sell it all out right away, but eventually you want to step them out of that and get them out of that alternate and into your model position. This will tell them to sell it proportionally with those other positions, slowly backing them out of that holding and into your model position. And then don't sell the alternate unless it's being liquidated, and that's being liquidated and closed on Envestnet. So those are your sell options there as well. If you want to learn more about how the platform treats alternate positions and trades them, you can go to this little help icon right here, click on that, and that will download a PDF for you. So then we'll just click save. Sorry. It's not, sorry, I put the ticker in there wrong. So now we can see our ticker. You see the alternate for it is what its buy and sell controls are. So if we ever need to go back and edit those, we can click that pencil icon and make changes to it. If we need to add additional alternates, we just click on the plus icon and add those additional alternate positions. The history tab is going to show you any changes you've made to your model. So we can see, there's the initial changes we made, and then there's showing what the alternate we added to it. And you could go in and download that as a CSV file. Another thing to note, if you have any corporate actions that need to be taken on a model, you won't be able to actually trade that model if you do have any open corporate actions. This will show you those, and you'd be able to go in and take action on those so you can finish the model and use it in your accounts. And then the simulation, we'll talk about that in a little bit. That's more for managing models that already have accounts tied to them. So I'll come back to that in a minute. But what I want to do now is say at this point, you've completed this model, it's done. And I know a lot of you have done this when you're building your proposal. But again, the difference is you've built that proposal, you've built that model as part of the proposal. It's part of that proposal and it can't be reused. But this one, I can use this in 20 different accounts now if I want to, or 50 accounts. There's really there's no limit. So what we do now to take advantage of this is we're going to go and we're going to build a proposal and we're going to add this model to a proposal. So I'm going to go to the practice tab. I'm going to go down to proposals. We're going to click on the magnifying glass and we're going to create a new proposal by clicking on the plus icon. Again, you could always also just go to your desktop page and you have under your quick actions, you can create a proposal right there as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. It's going to open up the proposal tool for us. And then you can either create this proposal for a new household, or if you had an existing household, just start typing in, the name of the client and you'll be able to do that. But we'll do a new one. So we've entered the client's first and last name and a title. That's all you really need to do to get that part started. We'll click add. Again, you have the default name for the proposal that will show up in client facing paperwork. So just make sure you don't mind them seeing whatever the title is. Then we'll click save and continue. And now you're going to go to your risk and objective. If you have the client's risk tolerance questionnaire on file somewhere, you can just say, I already know my client's risk tolerance, or you can say, use the question to set up that risk tolerance. I'm just going to say, I know it. I'm going to select my risk that I wanted to use. I know the model I just built was aggressive, so I want to pull that up. And then I'm just going to choose my source. I'm just going to say I have it on file. I'm going to confirm that as well. And then we go to our objective. I'm going to say this is going to be a growth. And I'm going to choose select and continue. Now, this is the important step right here, because this is where we're going to say we're going to select the model as opposed to building the model as part of the proposal. So we'll go in, we'll enter in the proposal amount that we're opening up this account with, choose our registration type, and then here's the important step. So before you would click create a custom strategy and you'd build the proposal as part of the model. Sorry, you build the model as part of the proposal. What we do now is we say select an existing strategy. I'm going to do that. I'm going to select my program. I know it's SA Stone APM. I'm going to say start selecting. There's my SA Stone APM model aggressive that I built just now. I just select it. It's going to give us that note that remember that one position was closed to investors. This is not a hard stop. It's just letting us know. But since we had set up the alternate, it's not an issue for us. We know that that's going to be okay. So then we're just going to say select product. And then we can always look at, the proposal analysis. We can look at the breakdown of the model position, information that we built up. We can always refer to that if we want to. But at this point, we've already selected our position. We can click save and continue. Remember, this preview step is where you can either custom build the investment strategy proposal documents that you want to use, or you can just use the ones that were pre-selected by SA Stone. So we're going to skip it. We're going to use the ones that the home office selected for us. And then we're going to hit skip, and we're going to go to the account setup step. Now, at this point, this is where you can set up any household restrictions if you want. So maybe, this client does not want any tobacco products. I'm going to go to the plus icon. I'm going to say household security restriction. I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to say tobacco, and maybe I'll put per client. Acknowledge that I've read the disclosure, and click add. So here we can see that in the case of this particular client's account, it is going to sell all tobacco products and it is not going to buy any. You could add additional by clicking that plus icon. If you decide you don't want it, you could just remove it there as well. Cash management. If you were going to open up this account again with 150, but you knew long run your client was going to invest 300,000, you can go to and set up a dollar cost averaging schedule now. So if you do that, we can say again, we're opening this account with 150, but we're going to put in because in the long run we're going to eventually this account's going to be worth $300,000. So we're going to put an additional value of 150. And again, this is an additional 150, not the original 150. We're going to choose our periodic amount, which is going to be $10,000. We're going to do this monthly, and we're going to choose a start date. So I'm going to say we'll give this time, account time to be funded and everything. So we'll just say we'll start this on April 1st. So as long as that additional $150,000 hit that account, by April 1st, it'll start distributing and investing that $10,000 every month until that 150,000 is used up. Now, another thing you can do is you can also set up a protected cash bucket, and that could be out of that 150,000. Is there an amount you want to hold off to just be untouched. It's there in case of an emergency, any other funds or any other issues that come up. We've got that money put off to the side. Maybe they want to put 10,000 of that original 150 into that protected cash bucket. And there's ways to adjust that once the account's open. You could always reduce that protected cash if you wanted to. So we can see here that the account's set to auto start, and the target market value is $150,000. The other thing you can do is you can go into and set up account security restrictions for individual securities. Maybe there's, in this case, it's showing Apple. You don't want the client to ever purchase Apple, or maybe they have an outside holding and they don't want to sell it. You can say, okay, take that Apple and do not sell it. Just leave it alone. So you're able to set that up as part of the proposal as well. So once you're done with that, you can hit save and continue. You just go to your fee step here. You need to review your fees. If you need to make changes to your client fee, you can go in and click on the pencil icon. You can see the guardrails that were set up by SA Stone. So you can see you can go anywhere from 0.5 to 2.5. So if you need to make any changes, you just go to those breakpoints. You'd be able to change those, and then you could give it a name if you're going to use this template a lot, and click save. So what will happen is you can see it calculated my client fees here. But if I go back, say this is another proposal, I can go and select my fees from the drop down and be able to use those. So once you've reviewed your fee schedule, you just click on the little check mark to agree to it, and then click continue. Then you just go in and generate your documents. Again, it's going to give us that note that one has a soft close. We just generate those documents, download them, send them off to the client. Once they send them back to us, again, to get back to our proposal, once we've created it, we can just go back to the desktop page, go to proposals. Here's that investment strategy for the Smith family, the one we just created. We can see its status is waiting on paperwork. If we click on it, it'll take us back to that summary step. We just go to our return instructions, and it just tells us where to send those to get this client's account up and running. So again, it's actually not really any additional steps that you did if you were building them as part of a personalized client model up to this point. But now you're able to just use and manage this one model if you use it with multiple accounts, instead of having to go into all these different accounts to make changes to it. So if I go back to the manage tab, I go back to advisor models, there's my SA Stone APM aggressive model right there. If I want to make changes to it, I just click on it. I can go in, I can click edit. I can go in and change my target percentages. If I want to swap a position out, maybe I want to get rid of that Artesian International, I can just set that to 0. I can enter in the other position. And then I can choose to save it and activate. So now I've got rid of that other one and I've updated this model to use this different position instead. So now what I would do is once I've activated this, any account that I have this model tied to, I would go into my trading and then I can just, select, I can filter for it by that particular model. And it's because this one isn't tied to anything yet. I'm just going to say, we'll use that, pretend that was it. I click apply, it pull up those accounts for me. And then what I can do is if those are all accounts that were tied to that model, I can go in and I'd be able to do a model change rebalance and change all those, and it would rebalance all the positions that I changed in all the models and all the accounts that were tied to that model. So you no longer have to go in and go to 20 different accounts and then make changes to 20 different accounts or 20 different models and 20 different accounts and then rebalance them all individually. You'd be able to go in and just make those changes for one model or two models, at a time, and then just change them there. Another thing, let me just show you another thing that we can do with your models is, again, when you're using a model that is tied to already tied to an account and you make changes to that model, what I can do is say, edit this model. Maybe I want to bring this down from 97. I can save this model as a draft. And what it will allow me to do now is it will allow me to go to this trade simulation tool and I could simulate the trades on my draft model. And what it's going to allow me to do is either do it as a model change or just a regular rebalance. And again, the difference being is a model change only looks at the changes that were made to the model. It leaves all the other positions alone, versus a regular rebalance will rebalance the entire model. But what this allows you to do is allows you to go in and take a look at the simulated trades, and see what would happen by making those changes. So we'd be able to go in and see information like, what was the cash drift? Is there any long-term or short-term gains or losses that we need to be aware of? So then what we can decide to do is we can say, okay, I do want to go in and I want to make these changes to this model and activate it. Then I can go to save and activate. Or I can just say, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't want to use this model change that I did right now, and I can say delete draft model, and it'll go back to my original. So you do have a lot of powerful tools in here as far as when you're making changes to your models, managing those models, and again, just by building them ahead of time, and just being able to go into your accounts and use the same model across multiple accounts. You can do that. Another thing you can do is if you're building a new model, maybe you have a model that you like, say 75% of a different model, but you want to change a couple things. You can go into your actions. You can say import from another model. Choose the model you want to start with. It'll import that model for you. Then you can just click edit and make those changes to it. And then when you can save and activate it. So there's a lot you can do with this model tool and building it that will save you a lot of time in the long run for helping you manage those accounts. Marcus, did you have anything else as far as building the model?
That's perfect, Bill. I know we're coming up on time here soon. And I just want to remind everyone that as we transition to the new platform, there are resources that help guide you to do the same steps that Bill is doing on the new platform as well. Nothing functionality is changing in terms of processes there. It's just a few buttons that you need to get used to on the new platform, but essentially the same steps that he's doing here are essentially the same on the new platform. And I do want to go to the chat and answer one question here from Andrew, Andrew Wade. He's asking if we have to make adjustments now and not send to advisor link. So Andrew, you can continue to send those to the service team. They are here to help you out, but this is just showing you the steps how you can do it on your own. But we're not taking that away from you. This just gives you the resources to actually do it on your own. And if there's any more questions, we'll be able to take maybe one or two. But if not, if you don't have anything now, you can reach out to me via email. But outside of that, I know Kelly's on the call. Kelly, do you have anything to add here?
I don't have anything to add, but we are always available to help you walk through this process. Even if you've watched the video and you don't quite understand, just make sure that you know that we're always available.
Perfect. Well, thanks, guys. I'll give you back 3 minutes, and thank you, Bill, for joining us. This will also be recorded. You'll be able to find that on the Advisor Center website as well. Thanks, guys. I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.